First up is Eli Goodman running for ASB Treasurer. First of all, thank you so much for being here, Eli.
Oh yeah, of course.
And can you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself first?
So, as you had said, I'm Eli Goodman. I'm a junior. I guess like a couple of things that define me. I've been in debate for all of my time here. It's like what I spend most of my free time on. I really, really love food. Like my mom and I will just go out to just random food places with my grandpa and just try random things.
Mm-hmm.
I think any kind of citrus, any dish based on that is really, really good. I love like Mediterranean food is a great cuisine. So, I don't know, I like adventuring, doing that kind of stuff, and then being a part of this community.
Okay, and going on to like running for treasurer, so what motivated you to run for ASB Treasurer?
I think the past few years that I've been here, I've seen what people can do when they're given the resources to do it. Like homecoming rallies, for example, when we have basically like unlimited time and effort from the whole class, we can put on something that's really like incredible. And I think treasurer felt like the most enabling job to me, like having the ability to help people do what they're wanting to do and like make their visions happen. So I was wanting to like dedicate myself to that.
Okay, so about helping people, would you say you have like financial or like organizational kind of background with being kind of a treasurer?
Oh, yes. So for the past few years, since 8th grade, I've been a part of a few youth groups. They were in the general area, and I've gone up like the ranks of those groups, doing a bunch of organizational events as membership vice president, moving into more like presidential roles. So I'm currently the president of the Jewish youth group in my area, and I spend a lot of time working on the finances for that group and making sure everything runs smoothly.
Okay, and so going on to more specifics of your goals, what are your goals entering as like a candidate for ASB Treasurer this year then?
So I think from what I've seen so far, without actually being involved in our like treasury system, we have a pretty well set up model. So most of my time is just making sure that that still runs smoothly and we're able to like enable all the clubs and ASB and just the student body to, again, like do what they want to do, make their visions happen. But I think more importantly, I haven't really noticed any usage of like newer technology, like the Square or Tap to Pay and stuff like that. So trying to find a way to implement that to make it easier for students to participate and to put on these kinds of events.
Okay, can you elaborate on Tap to Pay?
Oh, yeah. So there's this great company, I'm not sponsored, but still, they're called Square, I believe, and they just make, it's kind of like what you get at restaurants, where they make a little tap-to-pay box that you can connect to the bank account for like whatever organization through Venmo, like typical methods, PayPal, that kind of thing. And then you can tap to pay as per normal from like if you're paying from your phone, and it'll just get wired straight through whatever company we would use into the ASB bank account. So we've used something similar in the youth groups before, and it tends to work pretty well if people don't carry around cash.
Okay, so implementation is looking forward towards school events like club fundraising, like school dances and things like that?
Yes, exactly.
And going on to your campaign goals, in your campaign post, you've shared that you would want to live up to your last name. So what would this look like and what does this mean?
So I think in a way that statement was more of like I guess a play on words. I've spent a lot of time, like ever since kindergarten, of having people always point out like, oh, his last name's Goodman, like that's kind of funny. So in a way, it's that simple of just, oh, I want to be the best that I can in this position, and good man. But at the same time, it's just committing myself and promising that I will fulfill the goals that I'm setting out to.
I see. And is there anything else you want to like share to the students to like know about you before voting starts?
I think there's not really anything in particular that's super important about me. The school is built based off of all the events that we're able to put on. It's built off of the work that the student body puts in. And I think what I just want Tino to know is that I'm going to make sure that that can continue to grow and that can continue to thrive in the next year.
Okay, and that was it for my questions. That's a wrap for our interview with Eli. Thank you so much for being here. Okay, so next up we have Angela Kim running for ASB president this year. First of all, thank you so much, Angela, for being here. So could you introduce yourself for a bit?
Yeah, my name is Angela Kim, and I'm running for ASB president this year. I enjoy hanging out with my friends, like going to the beach and taking photos, or like studying at like cafes around the area, getting matcha with friends and things like that.
Okay, and what motivated you to run for ASB president this year?
Through my experience on council these past 3 years at Cupertino High School, I've really learned how it is to work with other people and collaborate, and I've always like had this like romanticized dream that like I would be a part of like planning all these exciting events like homecoming and now J-prom, and I never realized that that would be where I am today. And looking back, if I was to be my 8th grade self again, I would have never believed that I would be here right now. But I'm super grateful for the opportunities that I've had, and I've met so many amazing people throughout the process, and I just want this, I think I took this opportunity because I just want that opportunity to represent the school in a bigger scale. And now that I've served my class for a long time, I also want to try out this new thing to experience what it feels like to represent the school like entirely.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and so for presidency, what are some of your goals entering next year then?
My main goal is to really increase the connection and community between ASB and the student body. I want students at our school, especially underclassmen who might not be really aware of what we do as ASB, to not only understand what we do, but like how and why we do it. And I really want students to kind of see the behind the scenes of how we plan and execute and organize events. And I feel like that comes with, like, obviously, like accountability, but I also want students to be able to like trust us almost in that aspect and be able to like openly share their ideas with us and know that they're being implemented in how we run the class and how we organize events and things like that.
Okay, so for like advocacy and transparency, what would that look like in practice then?
I think just being like really open and just like making an intentional effort in telling people about how we work or like what we do to organize the events that you see on campus, just in everyday life. Like, I really want students to be able to be like, oh, this is what they do, not like questioning things or like feel like they're invited to share their ideas after the fact, after we've already planned all the events, and they can share their ideas, but they feel, sometimes I don't want students to feel like their ideas are heard but not actually like taken into account when we're actually discussing ideas and what to implement.
Mm-hmm. And also you've mentioned that you've served part of class council for the past 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
So what would you say like your biggest accomplishment so far is?
I think definitely taking on like a higher, like you could say a higher role as vice president this year.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I really got to experience the hands-on experience of planning and executing events like homecoming, for example. I feel like as rally chair in freshman year, I was very involved with like creating hype and spirit and class unity with decorations and posters at rallies. But being vice president really helped me to help out and plan and organize things that actually, or like, I didn't realize how much actually goes into planning homecoming. And I feel like working with my council and as vice president, I've really gotten to experience that this year, and I think that that's my biggest accomplishment.
And what would your priorities be as a presidential candidate then?
I think just going back to what I was saying before, just really taking into account and considering other students at our schools' opinions and perspectives. And I really want students to feel like they're actually heard and represented when we make decisions in the ASB class.
That's it for my questions. So is there anything else you would want to share to our student body that you maybe haven't mentioned yet?
I just want to emphasize that with the election coming up and that you all can students can vote starting tomorrow, I really want to encourage people to really consider voting, because I know that not everyone in our school votes, but I believe that it's so important that people do, because I mean, even if it's not for me, like I think you should still consider voting, because everyone's voices at our school deserves to be heard and represented, and choosing who represents us and like your school, your community. I feel like it's so important, and it means a lot to me that everyone feels included and seriously represented. So yeah, I think that would be my final note.
Okay, thank you, Angela. That was wrap up our conversation. Thank you so much for being here again.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're here with Ashley Choe running for ASB president. First of all, thank you so much, Ashley, for being here.
Yeah, sure.
Could you introduce yourself a bit first?
Of course. Okay, hi Tino, my name is Ashley. I'm running to be your ASB president for the 2026 to 2027 school year. Just a little bit about me and my background, why I'm running. So for the past 3 years, I've been in the class of 2027 student council. Right now, I'm their current president. Before that, I was treasurer and social media manager. And then basically, my goals for this campaign, just to give an overview, center around sort of 3 main ideas. The first one is effective communication with ASB. The second one is making sure that resources are actually accessible. And then the third one is sort of partnering with outside organizations and innovating. Do you want me to like go into them now, or should I
Sure.
Okay, sure. For effective communication, I've noticed that like unless you're in the ASB class or you're friends with people in ASB, it's very hard to sort of get your ideas there, and I think that's a really big issue, especially considering how big our student body is. So I want to create like a separate line of communication, whether it's through our online website or through like an anonymous form, to where you don't necessarily have to be in ASB to get your ideas heard. The second one, for resource accessibility, I feel like there's a lot of things that like clubs and student organizations have available to them through ASB, but that people don't necessarily know about them. And I think ASB needs to be doing a better job of publicizing those resources and making sure that they're actually accessible so that people feel supported, you know, when they want to start their own clubs or initiatives and stuff like that. And then for the third one, I think we honestly have so much potential as a whole school and as ASB to be doing like bigger events, more fun things, but we alone don't have the resources for it. So I think one thing ASB could strive to do next year is partner with outside organizations or leverage partnerships with PTSA to just sort of like merge what we have available to us so that we can do better for Cupertino High School. But yeah, that's a little bit about me and my campaign.
Okay, and going off of your partnering with outside organization, so how is it going to be kind of different from our pre-existing kind of system with collaboration then?
Yeah, so right now, I don't think ASB works very directly with PTSA. A lot of stuff that gets communicated is going through admin or, you know, other people who work either at the district level or higher up in our school level. And I think if we could, as collectively as ASB, create a different, sort of more accessible line of communication just with PTSA, that'd be a lot easier for us to sort of get directly in contact with them to say, hey, you know, the ASB class is planning something for our school. Is there any way that you can support us in what we want to do? And then additionally, I think there's just like a lot of room for us to be expanding outside of our district and just, you know, seeing what we can do. I know that like Limbrook, for example, has like a career shadowing day sort of where students get to like actually follow career professionals, which is really cool. And I think they partner with PTSA to do that. So that's just sort of like one of the things I was thinking could be really cool if we were able to bring it to Cupertino as well. But yeah.
Okay, and what was your motivation running for ASB president this year?
So I've spent the past 3 years in student council, and through that, I've basically seen a lot of different areas of the Cupertino High School student body. I've seen it from an ASB perspective. I've seen it from the perspective of just being a student. I've seen it with, you know, other organizations that I'm a part of or other student initiatives. And I genuinely just think that based on the experience that I've accumulated and from what I've seen, there's so much potential that we hold as a student body. Like genuinely, the people here, we have so much potential. Like they're driven, they're hardworking, they put things in action. And all we need really to be able to do what we want to accomplish for the school is just a leadership team who is going to drive that forward. And yeah, just once again, from everything that I've seen and from the experience that I've gained, I truly think that I could be the best person for that role.
Okay, and you've mentioned that you've served as part of class council for the past 3 years. What would you say your biggest accomplishment is so far?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think when you think of big accomplishments, you can either look at it as like, is it the most impressive or is it the one that's affecting students the most? I think for most impressive, what we were able to do during my time on council, we held the first like intra-district social event, so it wasn't just within Cupertino. It was connecting class of 2027 students from across FUHSD. It was the like San Jose Sharks ice skating event that happened, which was completely unprecedented but absolutely amazing. And then I honestly just think from like an impacting the students at our school perspective, like honestly just doing homecoming every single year. Like, we've gotten so consistently better, and just seeing the way that everyone comes together and like is genuinely so happy. Like, people are making memories, they're having fun together, they're laughing, they're dancing. Just that shared experience, I think the way that we've been able to improve upon it every year has been honestly really, really cool to see. But yeah, I think those two for sure.
Okay, and going into more of specific goals, what would you say your priorities would be if running for ASB president this year?
Priorities in terms of like goals that I want to create? Okay, yeah. I like briefly touched on this in the overview. I think my goals are centered around either problems or areas for improvement that I've noticed on campus. Once again, I think communication, even though ASB prides itself on being a space where, you know, everyone can have their voices heard and everyone can share their ideas, the reality is that for a majority of the student body, it's very hard to get those ideas into the classroom. There's no sort of like open line of communication that people can sort of leverage to get their things heard. Through campaigning just this past day and yesterday as well, I've had people come up and say that like, yeah, I've been trying to tell ASB people about this, but you know, there hasn't really been anything done about it, or there isn't really an easy way where I can contact them. And I think if the whole purpose of ASB is to represent our school, that's an issue that needs to be fixed. And it's honestly as simple as, again, like putting something on our website or creating a form where people can submit their ideas and having ASB review that collectively on a weekly basis, to where people now have that like sort of line of communication where they can get their ideas in, and then we also have an easy way to either get back to them or look at things from a school-wide level and see, okay, these are the ideas that people have, what do we want to do? So yeah, communication would definitely be a really big priority. The second thing is, again, what I touched on with like resources and making sure that people can actually use them. Again, ASB at its core is meant to serve everyone at Cupertino. And you know, on our website and on the different like district websites, our school website, there's a lot of resources that ASB people are aware about, but that others aren't. So for example, take a look at like the club's handbook or guides to fundraising. Those all exist, but most people haven't been able to effectively use them for their own clubs or organizations that they've started. And it's as simple of a fix as having ASB promote those, making them more easy to reach so that people don't have to like sort of sift through all the mystifying like policies of ASB, if that makes sense. Just being more down to earth and more transparent with what we have available for the student body. But yeah.
Okay, and that was it for my questions. Is there anything else you would want to share to the viewers that maybe you haven't mentioned so far?
I think just that like a lot of this and a lot of my campaign is coming from a genuine place of care. Like these 3 years I've gone to see, I'm so privileged, I've gone to see so much just through student council, like through Prospector, through clubs, through everything that I've done. And like genuinely our school is so amazing, our students are so amazing, and I would just be so grateful for the opportunity to serve us as ASB president. But yeah, I think that's it.
All right, thank you so much, Ashley.